For a long time, we had no library as they did in the white schools. The buses passed right by my house to get to the white school, and we didn't have buses. I would have been a fuller, more rounded person if we hadn't had to deal with segregation. We didn't have, the high schools had their bands and music, but we didn't. And I was always inclined towards music, wanted to sing. And we had an exceptional principal. He believed that all along that should expose young people or to students to the very best. The duty of the school is to reveal higher activities and make them both desired and maximally possible. I'll never forget it, and the students knew it too. And nothing would stop me, and so I decided I wanted a master's degree from Columbia. And I couldn't get a master's degree in North Carolina. They didn't allow blacks in the graduate schools. And a number of people who don't know this at all, you know, don't know that you couldn't go to a white college. So what they did was to pay our tuition and car fare to go to NYU in Columbia. Interaction with each other and with materials in the classroom. The classroom actually was theirs, and most significant, to have them learn the way children learn, which is to explore and to inquire, to ask questions, and to be involved in their own learning. So as I often told them, this isn't my classroom, it's our classroom. We spent the first month or so talking about what it means to live together for 22 people, to live together in the same room for a year. And I was caught running in the hall trying to catch one of my colleagues. And a student happened to see me and said, "Oh, Miss Windley, you've broken the law. You've broken one of our rules. You'd have to go up to..." And so I was taken up to class court. So my sentence was that I was to eat in the student dining room for a week. And I played the guitar at the time, and I was to play the guitar in the student dining room for a week. And so I did, and enjoyed it. And the parents were sitting there, they couldn't believe that I would allow students to talk about me like that, you know, or to make decisions. The word got around that that things were happening differently in my classroom, and parents wanted their children to be, in the summer, they'd come and ask if they could have their children placed in Vivian Windley's room. It was an exciting time at Berkeley. There was a student unrest. It played a significant part in my life, in changing my life. And then when I went to City, I was teaching teachers. Things were open not only in terms of physically, the kids moving out from the room into the hallway, but it was open for inquiry, it was open for discovery, it was open for interaction among students, it was open for investigation, it was open for the selection of materials you wanted to work with or groups you wanted to work with. Student teachers who were learning to teach. You had parents in the classroom. You had the liberal arts folks. You see, it's active, it's alive. Love it. It's the hardest way to teach. It's very difficult to teach that way because you know every child, and you interact with every child, and then there's this business of observation, observing children and writing it up, what you observed. If you have 30 kids in a classroom, that gets to be very difficult, and this is why a number of teachers didn't want to work in our project. Hard work. So it was a whole weekend. We immersed a whole weekend with some of the best people in the country, and even from England. We had an anthropologist, a sociologist, geography, dance, poetry. Everyone had to take responsibility for kids' learning. Now it's not left to education teachers. I wanted to be immersed in their culture, and you can't do that in 2 weeks. So that now they tell me, oh, you're one of us. And that's quite a compliment. This woman was so beautiful. And she was a playwright and a poet and educator. They're reading with me, and I'm reading with them. Some books, we had sent books over. Calvin Buss had gotten some from, I'd asked them from Abyssinian. And then we organized the African American Educational Associates, whose express purpose was to raise funds to purchase materials for the John Tay School. So every year we had a function. You see, I brought to Ghana what I had been doing with my students here. We tried to find the best literature. That's what we were about. We tried to find the best literature, the best poetry, all the great writers for children. You have to know something about how children learn best.